Hello, welcome back. This is Keith Miller at Rock Creek High School, and this is our second instructional video for judges for our November 11, 2017 debate tournament. And thanks again for judging. And for this video, I just want to go over the stock issues and some of the main ideas, arguments going on, so you're kind of familiar when you walk in the door and you can kind of have an idea of what the kids are going to argue before you get here. It might help you understand what's going on around a little bit. I had mentioned that the topic this year was increasing funding or regulation of K-12 education. And so there are different what we call stock issues, and these are the main areas that they argue. And the first one is harms. So the affirmative team has to get up and they basically say, look, here's this problem, which we call harms, and nobody's doing anything about it, which we call inherency. Here's our plan to fix it, and here's our proof that our plan will work. And the proof that the plan will work is called solvency. And if we do our plan, we'll have all these wonderful advantages. Good things will happen. Now, the harm needs to be big, it needs to be bad, and it needs to be happening now. And this is one of the key areas that that is being argued, at least that we're arguing, is that a lot of schools will come up with this little plan, and it's small, and the resolution says that it needs to be substantial. Well, the federal government's doing quite a bit right now, so if you're going to have a substantial increase in regulation or funding, then what you're spending needs to be several billion, or the regulation needs to be quite extensive. Otherwise, it's not. The next stock issue we talk about is topicality, and so that issue on harms kind of ties in with topicality. Are they on topic? Well, if they're not substantial, then they're not topical. And then the whole theory of debate is that you argue large ideas, not small ideas. And yet a lot of schools are arguing small ideas. And so the negative team will get up and say, hey, this is a small idea. So that's one. So the harms has to be big, and that ties in with topicality. Now, when schools argue topicality, they need to have structure. They can't just say, hey, you're not topical, blah. They need to have a very set, organized. They need to have a definition of the word. That, first of all, the word has to be a word from the specific topic, the resolved. The United States federal government should substantially increase its funding and or regulation of elementary and or secondary education in the United States. They can't just pick a word that doesn't belong in that and say, hey, we're going to run topicality on this word. Well, that word isn't in. And we've actually had schools do that against us, or trying to run topicality on words that aren't even in the resolution. So if the negative team argues on topicality, the word has to be in the resolution that they argue. Second of all, they have to have 4 parts: definition, violation, standard, voter. Okay? They're going to have definition, violation, standard, and voter. And if the negative team has that, then they have a proper topicality attack. If they don't have that, they really don't have a topicality attack. If you want to be technical about it, they don't have it. Now, and then when the affirmative team responds, they also need to have a definition, a non-violation, their standards, and their non-voters, saying, hey, judge, we are topical. Don't vote for their attack on topicality. The most common topicality attacks are on the word substantially. Is it big? I mean, is what the affirmative team really big? Increase, You know, if you change something from we're doing this and then we're going to do this, is that really a change? Is that an increase, or are you just changing something, right? And just because you change something doesn't necessarily mean you're increasing it. And then education, surprisingly, what is education? What's part of education? We've had that argument a couple times. So, the next thing, their plan, not really a stock issue, but their plan, the tendency in debate nowadays is to have just one or two sentences. And you can decide for yourself if you think that's a plan or not. But the negative team will oftentimes say, hey, that's not really a plan. One sentence doesn't make a plan. You need to have some details here. So that's going to be a negative attack, especially if the affirmative team gets up and just says, hey, we're going to one sentence do this. And it's like, really? What's your plan? Oh, one sentence. That's not a plan. So there's that argument, and you can decide how you feel about that. And then insolvency, they got to prove, the affirmative team has to prove that their plan will fix the problem, right? Because there's not much point in doing a plan if it won't fix the problem. And of course, the negative team will get up and say, no, it won't fix the problem, or it'll make the problem worse, right? And then the affirmative team will get up and say, hey, there's these wonderful advantages, and it'll make this happen, it'll make this happen. And now the negative team, they're going to get up and they're going to run something called disadvantages. And those are saying, oh, if you do the AF plan, this horrible thing will happen. Now, the two main ways to judge this is you can go stock issues and say, okay, the negative team, and if you're a stock issues judge, if you want to vote, just on the stock issues and look at it stock issue by stock issue, then the negative team only has to win one. So if they win topicality, then that's all they have to win for the negative team to win. Now, if the other main way to judge is called a policymaker. Policymaker is kind of like you're a member of Congress, and so you have to determine, will we get more good things from this case from this affirmative plan than bad? So if more good happens out of it than bad, vote for it. But then if more bad happens than good, then vote against it. And so it's kind of like I mentioned in the first video, you're a member of Congress. Should we do this? Well, if only a little bit of good happens and a whole lot of bad happens, then no, don't vote for it. On the other hand, if a lot of good happens and not much bad happens, then vote for it. So, and then now I'd like to switch. I'm running out of time here. Switch to some judging etiquette. Number one, don't give oral feedbacks. Please don't. If you're going to make comments, put them on paper. No, we don't need oral feedbacks. I do not want oral feedbacks. Number two, do not bring laptops. And your cell phones, I don't want them out. I shouldn't see them. The kids shouldn't see them. We should get no reports of, oh, the judge was on their phone during my round. No. If you want to doodle on paper, that's fine, but no electronic devices. Please, no electronic devices, no oral comments, write your notes on the ballot, okay? And once again, thanks a lot for judging. I really appreciate it. And once again, if you have any questions, you can call me at 785-456-5891, or you can text me, or you can email me. So thanks a lot. See you soon. Let me know if you want to actually have a meeting or not, because unless people let me know, I'm not going to have one. So anyway, take care.